the day going so far?
It's going good. Going good.
Good. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
I wanted to check in and see what goals you have for this week. I know last week we were able to do our assessment together, but I wanted to see if you had any specific goals that you wanted to work on through this session.
Yeah, so I am approaching graduation soon. As you know, I'm in an MSW program, so preparing to become a therapist, and on that path, I'm a little nervous because I graduate in August, and I've already been looking on Indeed and Glassdoor in my spare time and just seeing, kind of preparing myself for job hunting. So I've kind of had that on my radar, but I do have a few things I'm kind of worried about. I've just never done it before, so I really want to make sure that, I think the most important thing for me is making sure I get a good starting salary. Walking into the field, I think the reason I'm so nervous about getting paid for my first time is that it really sets a precedent for my other jobs, because usually people's salary starts to climb. So I don't want to settle for less. I don't want to lowball myself. I really want to make sure I'm getting paid what the average social worker gets paid in my area, which is Portland. So that's kind of been stressing me out a little bit, like, oh, what should I get paid? I don't really know. I'm researching my best.
So I'm hearing that you have a lot of anxiety over starting your career once you're done with school, and making sure that you're being compensated at a good amount for what you need to live in Portland and be successful in your career. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, we can absolutely dig into that a little further. Do you have any other worries or concerns about starting your career that you might want to touch base on?
I mean, the other ones are just, besides pay, I want to love the work that I do. I want to love the culture and the environment I work in. Having a good boss, I've heard from a lot of people, is really important, and having great coworkers, having a supportive environment that focuses on self-care, because burnout in our field is a real thing. And I think just making sure my specialty is what I want it to be. I think that just comes with trial and error. I kind of just have to work with different populations, but this is the first time I'm actually putting myself out there into a full-time job and just saying, hey, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to work with this population, and if I like it, I like it, and if I don't, I switch to a new population. So I'm nervous about what population I'll enjoy working with.
Yeah, I think that's a natural thing to be concerned about as you go into the field. Thank you for sharing those concerns with me. I, as a therapist, understand the feeling of entering the field, and I think that us being able to work together through some of those concerns will make you feel a little more comfortable as you get to that point. So if you're okay, I have an idea that I think might be able to help you work through those concerns and anxieties. The exercise is called decatastrophizing. So it's also the what if exercise.
Okay.
So if we work through each concern, and what I've heard from you, your top 3 concerns are compensation and not being paid what you need to be paid in order to sustainably live in Portland, but also so that you're being paid what you're worth, making sure you're being valued.
Yes.
Your second concern was the fit, making sure that you fit in the culture of where you're going to be working, and that you have self-care opportunities.
Yes.
Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. And then the last concern I heard from you was that you find a specialization in social work that you're passionate about and that you really enjoy working with.
That perfectly sums it up.
Wonderful. So if we talk about those 3 different concerns and dive into what if things do not go the way that you would desire them to go, and continue going down almost like a map of what if this happens? Okay, then what if this happens? For example, let's start with compensation. So if we talk about what if you do not get paid the amount that you think you are valued to be paid for, compensated for, what would happen headed next?
So I guess I would, you know, if I took a job where I wasn't, it was maybe a little bit below average or something, I'm sure. I mean, my husband works. He works a full-time salary job. I think we definitely live. We'd make it. I'd probably be a little bit upset that I didn't get the pay that I would have liked, but I would hope and anticipate my pay climbing in the future. So I would probably just say, oh, this is a bummer. Like, you know, I'm a freshly graduated MSW, and you know, I'd probably just take the pay and, you know, hope that it climbs in the future, I guess.
Sure. Okay, wonderful response. So continuing with that same issue, what if you are paid what you want to be paid? What if you do receive the compensation that you were hoping for?
So I think it would just be like kind of a sigh of relief, and it would feel like I would feel valued, and I would feel personally like I did a good job of standing up for myself, I guess, kind of, and making sure I'm valued in a work sense, which I'm sure is hard to do at times, but I've never experienced it, so I don't know.
Yeah, wonderful. You mentioned with what if you do not get paid enough that your husband does work. So if you do end up having to rely on his income, what happens? What if you end up having to rely on his income? What would be the next step down from that?
I think just planning wisely. What we would probably do a budget sheet, calculating our monthly income, figuring out what our expenses are. I would, you know, jump into paying off my school loans. So I think that we would do a very thorough budget sheet based on his income and mine. And even if mine is a little lower than we expected, I think we would just stick to it and be really good with our money.
Awesome. So it sounds like either way, it would end up working out in the end. If you're compensated what you like, then that's wonderful. If not, then it sounds like you and your husband have the tools to work on a budget and make sure that you guys are supporting yourselves sufficiently. Does that sound right?
Absolutely.
Good.
And another thing that kind of gives me hope is that, like, we're living on his income alone right now, just his. And, you know, I work part-time, a few shifts a week, but definitely nothing major. So the fact that we're getting by right now and we're making our rent, we're making our utilities, it really shows me that if we're living now on one income, it only goes up from here, because no matter what I make, 20,000, which is super low, we're going to live, and we're going to have more discretionary income to do fun things. So
Wonderful. Good. So let's touch base on the next concern that you had. You want to make sure that you feel like you fit into the organization, that the culture of the agency or organization matches your values.
Yes.
Including being able to take care of yourself and have balance with your work-life situation. Yes. So let's think about, what if you do find an organization that does not fit your values? What is going to happen?
I think I would feel maybe a bit, I could feel disconnected from people. I could feel like not satisfied with the culture and feel like it's as supportive of me as I'd like it to be. Ultimately, I think I have a good work ethic. So at the end of the day, I know what I value as a social worker, and I know that I would be able to find fulfillment in treating my clients well and working with them well and really being caring and compassionate. And even if I don't feel like the culture has all that isn't really flowing with positivity, I can find that within myself and at home as well. So
Great. That's awesome. Sounds like you have a lot of other insight that you could bring into the agency, even if their values don't exactly line up with yours.
yeah.
Wonderful. So just our last one. I know we're close to the end for our session time. What you were concerned about not finding a specialization that matches your passions.
Yes.
So what if you don't end up working with a population that you're passionate about? What would happen?
I mean, it's hard to say how I would feel in those shoes, but I'm sure I would feel either there's a plethora of reasons why I'm not enjoying it. I could either feel really burnt out and feel like it's just really difficult, taxing, emotional work, or I could feel like, I don't feel like I'm doing much good, or I don't feel like I'm really helping in the capacity that I am able to, or my skill set, maybe it's just not a good fit. So, I'd probably stick it out there for a while and maybe start looking elsewhere, depending on the work contract I made with the agency. Just I could look for another population, and I'm sure I'd be fine for a while working there. It is work, and then I could move on from there if I don't enjoy that population.
Great. You have a good plan. If you end up not working with a population you'd like to work with, you have an idea of what you could do to handle that situation. So that's wonderful, Sarah. So after we've reviewed those 3 different subjects, how are you feeling about your concerns?
I really like the idea of considering the what ifs, because for me, these 3 things that I've been feeling really anxious about is the unknowns, what will happen if it's not a good fit, and really having you ask me those questions and just think about what would I do. It makes me feel more in control, and it makes me feel like at least I'll have a plan with how to stick it out, even if it's not the ideal situation for me. Good. So thank you.
Good. Yes, thank you. I'll see you next week.
Sounds good.